Now let's talk about the Monopoly, man. One of the most popular paranormal effects out there. This is where, on my show, it's a paranormal effect because we're going to look at this in an honest way. Now, what happened to my monocle? So basically, what the paranormal effect on this is that the Monopoly guy, and let's see, his name, the mascot name, I think I just lost my notes. Oh, I got it back. His name is Rich Uncle Pennybags. Rich Uncle Pennybags is the Monopoly guy, okay? Now, if you see a picture of him now, if you look up, type his name in, type in Rich Uncle Pennybags, he's wearing a monocle. He's not wearing one. But a lot of people remember him wearing a monocle. I remember him wearing a monocle. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I don't. When I think of the Monopoly guy, I think of him wearing the monocle. Now, is my memory false? Could be. But what if it's not? I don't know. So this is what it says here on the paranormal effect about the Rich Uncle Pennybags. For decades, Rich Uncle Pennybags of Mr. Monopoly has been the facto mascot for the Monopoly. The Parker Brothers, now Hasbro game, somehow made real estate exciting. Some insist Pennybags complete his top hat and business attire and ensemble with the monocle. Now that's not true. He's never worn one. People appear to be conflating his description with that of Mr. Peanut, the planter mascot who supports a single corrective lens. That's because our brain can easily take subjects with similar traits and blend them together. In studies, when the show pairs and ask them to remember blackmail or jailbird, half of them will later say they remember learning the word blackbird. Okay, so basically, blah blah blah. Basically, he never had one. That's the thing. So the question is, why do you even remember him wearing one? So I'd like to go back from the origin, right? The origin of the Monopoly, man, the Monopoly game. Where did it come from? Because if it did change, there's got to be clues, right? And that's how you do your research. Research with clues. Debunk the debunks. You have to debunk. Now, C.T. Larson will say, no, I don't believe in debunking. Yes, you should. You never want to believe everything that you hear right off the bat. Because if you do, then you're just different than a guy easily getting brainwashed into a cult. Okay, you gotta think for yourself. I mean, that's what it's all about. Thinking for yourself. Okay, now if this is truly a paranormal effect, maybe there's clues. Or this one could be totally false brain, and we're never going to find any kind of clues. But let's look at the origin of the Monopoly, man. The game was developed by Charles Darrow from Philadelphia. Okay, he first developed the Monopoly game in 1933, and then he sold it to Parker Brothers in 1935, and now it's Hasbro. So the Monopoly started in 1933. Now I know this is a podcast, and a lot of you, if you type in the Monopoly game of 1933, what did the cover look like? Now I will be dropping this later on YouTube. I'm going to be putting in the actual picture of what the original game looks like. Now, the original game of Monopoly is basically looks like a regular guy running. Doesn't even look like Rick Uncle Pennybags, because Rick Uncle Pennybags wasn't even created yet until 1936. So the regular Monopoly guy on the cover looks like a regular man running with no hat at all, right? And just running. That's the original picture. If you want to type it in right now, it's the original picture. Now, let me see here. Now, the original pieces of this game in 1933 came with an iron, purse, lantern, race car, thimble, shoe, top hat, battleship, cannon, and a rocking horse. Now, there is a top hat as a tool, as one of the game pieces. So that's probably where the idea of a top hat, going to be coming for the character that will be developed later. Now, like I said, the game, now he did try to sell this game to Parker Brothers in the beginning, but apparently it was rejected for 52 fundamental errors, including the game's length, theme, and complexity. So technically there was 52 errors. Now, then it doesn't say in the article what was all those errors. I wish I know what those 52 errors, because maybe what we need, the clue for the Monocle glasses, maybe it's in those errors. Maybe one of the errors was he was the guy that's running without a hat had the monocle there. Maybe that's where, and then of course there's a top hat and then the toy and the 52 errors, maybe the monocle was in there. And that's the connection. See, that's where we all got to start doing our research. That's where I challenge you guys. Go out there, try to find out what was those. I know it's 1933 when he sold in 35, the fundamental errors. Could that be where the clue is? Maybe a change is for us to look at those errors. So that's what I'm talking about, people. Finding clues, finding errors. That's the challenge. That's the fun. Okay? Not these modern day fake residues that people come up with. Now, when the game was bought in 1935, when it was first licensed, the first game was actually licensed where the city the game was based on was not Atlantic City. It was actually London. Yes, London. So I don't know if there was any Mandela effect people remember London. If they did, well, it was London. The city of London was settling of the first licensed Monopoly game. Then the theme now is Atlantic City, New Jersey. Okay. So far, the origin of the game, we know it wasn't owned by Parker Brothers. It was sold. We know there was a silver top hat because the character Rick Uncle Pennybags wasn't even created yet. Gotta get a little drink of water. My throat. Okay, so it wasn't even created yet. So let's see. Now, when was the Monopoly Man even created? Do we even know? Well, the character initially appeared on the first game produced in 1936. So the game was bought in 35, and the character initially appeared in the first game produced in 1936. Now, the guy who created the character, his name is Dan Fox. Now this is interesting. See, this is where you got to follow maybe some of the clues that we're supposed to find out. The identity of the designer of the character, artist Dan Fox, was unknown until 2013. You got a 13 there. A lot of people in the paranormal community, in the fake Mandela effect community, which I'm talking about the name that's fake, not the theory. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. I'm not putting anybody under the bus. 2013. Maybe that's a clue right there about Dan Fox. Okay, when a former Parker Brothers executive, Philip Urbanes, was contacted by one of Fox's grandchildren, his age is presumed to be between 60 and 80. So the guy who developed it was 1936. Now I'm curious if he was identified to 2013. Man, hopefully he got some money for this character, right? I mean, the Monopoly guy is everywhere. So maybe there's a clue there. Maybe, I'm just guessing here. Maybe he first drew it with the monocle. I'm just saying here because I don't know. And maybe the Parker Brothers at the time did not want to pay Dan Fox, and they took off the monocle and then made a claim themselves on the character. I'm just saying, that could be an easy explanation, because why was he unknown until 2013? And that number 13, so maybe he was drawn originally with it and they removed it. Now, the original pictures, you can't see because you're listening to this as a podcast. When I drop this on YouTube later, I'm going to have the original picture he drew, but maybe Parker Brothers removed it, so they can say, well, it's not copyrighted because you drew it with it, we drew without it, because back in the 30s, unless you're millionaire companies, it's not like you could sue easily, because for some reason this guy was unknown until 2013, and it took one of the Fox grandchildren to bring this up. I don't know why they brought it up. Maybe they brought it up to they brought it up because they want some money. I don't know. That's a good place to start to do your proper research. Okay. Because I bet you if I did my research, I bet you this guy drew it. And of course, anybody, the bad people of the Mandela effect community will never research this because they don't want it to be known if that was the real story, that Dan Fox drew the monocle on him when he first created created the character. And then of course Parker Brothers removed it before they put it on the package, because that would make them look false, and they don't want to look false. It takes all their residue and flushes down the toilet. But like I said, people, do your research. Now, Mr. Peanut was an interesting part of that first paragraph, right? Mr. Peanut, was introduced in 1916 and kept smiling through 2 world wars, the Depression, and frightening white mold rot crisis of 2012 that threatened his crunchy kind. Mr. Peanut's death reduced the number of monocles wearing mascots in pop culture to 1. Okay, well, Super Bowl made a commercial, the glasses, a lot of people in excuse me, I'm sorry. A lot of people will say in the community that they did it on purpose to slap the face of every person who believes in this theory. I don't know about that. Kind of going, that kind of stuff usually comes from your extreme truthers who basically, I say, who invaded the Mandela effect community, who's not really truly part of it. And it's one of their gimmicks to make them sound better, that they're fighting. People are spitting on us because people like anger versus real research, real searching. Listen, I say search for the false. Debunk it, because at the end of the day, if you can't debunk none of it, hey, you might have got yourself a real Mandela effect, right? That's why I call it paranormal. That's why I call it paranormal effect. It means we're open-minded. We're willing to listen, to have discussions, because we just want the truth. Okay, we're not gonna sit on fake residue that we see on a lot of these YouTube channels. But there's a lot of great ones. You guys, you just want to, go in the description, send me an email if you want me to send you a list of some of the great. Now these shows call themselves Mandela effects. They haven't switched over to paranormal effect. Maybe one day they will, but even though they're not switching over to the real name, but I respect these channels. There's some channels I'll tell you that are fantastic, that they do real research, real conversation, and they don't just say things just to say things to to make it sound sexy or sell or try to make money off of it. That's usually due to the truthers of the communities. Okay, so far what we learn is the creator was Dan Fox, who was unknown until 2013. And then you had a peanut guy that actually had the monocle glass. It started all the way back from 1916. And then what we learned is 1936 is, of course, when the rich Uncle Pennybags was on the games, even though the game was invented back in 1933. So, and that game cover had just a regular guy with no hat on. So there's there's some transitions there. And I think the answer is with the Dan Fox. I think that's where the answer is, because I guess in our brains, I guess we can look at Mr. Peanut and somehow crisscross a peanut with a Monopoly guy. I can't back up that false memory theory too much, because what if you're never into peanuts? I mean, unless you have a toy with the peanuts, I don't really see mixing a peanut with a human with a monocle. That's kind of a hard stretch one, but I mean, it is possible. But now there are pictures now. Here, I want to tell you guys on this one, maybe where, if you try to find a reason why there's a false memory, and like I said, always try to find a false memory, because it's better to know than not know, right? Because what you don't know is what drives you crazy. Now, all you guys remember this: a Batman TV series released in 1966. The Batman TV series. You're like, what does the Batman TV series has anything to do with Monopoly Man? Well, you're trying to crisscross, right? You're trying to reference on, if the monocle is fake, how come I have this memory? How can I have this memory? Well, the Batman TV series. Go type in the TV series. Type in the character, the Penguin. Yes, the Penguin. Type in the Penguin. There's a lot of pictures with the Penguin that looks almost identical to the Monopoly Man. Yes. Look at the picture. I'm telling you guys, because there's some picture with him with the purple hat, tall hat, wearing that glasses, right? Penguin always wore that glass. Even in the modern day Tim Burton Batmans, he had that monocle with that hat. And that was a TV series in 1966. Like, I wasn't even born I wasn't born until 1973. And I remember growing up seeing that Batman series. Pee, pow, 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 pow. But you know what I mean? I could have seen that. I could have seen the Penguin, got the game, and just crisscrossed that way. That, to me, makes more sense than the peanut guy. Because I don't remember no fucking peanut guy back in the 80s with the Monopoly game. I don't remember the peanut guy, but I did watch a lot of Batman TV series. Oh, I did. And I bet a lot of you did. And I bet you, I'm at the moment in time, I'm looking at some Batman pictures. Now, of course, you probably have to type in, like, because the Penguin, just type in the TV series. Look at the Penguin. Now, he wore a lot of purple with his black suit, but he looks almost identical to the Monopoly Man. And as a kid, what do you see more of? The Penguin from the Batman series or Mr. Peanut? Okay, so Peanut for me, maybe not for you. Maybe you had a Peanut toy or a Peanut whatever, and in crisscross. Guys, like I said, you got to try to debunk, because if you can't debunk. Now, so for me, when I look at all of this, is the Monopoly Man, what happened to his monocle, is that a paranormal effect for me? Looking at the origin, the guy who sold it, the guy who created it, his name was even unknown until 2013. Even though I remember that he wore a monocle, that's my memory. I think I probably crossed that memory with the Batman Penguin. And that's why I just always remember the monocle. So if I'm going to set myself on clues and trying to understand this other world, why our changes are happening, I feel comfortable to not use the Monopoly Man as one of my codes and clues, trying to find the answers to the other side. Okay. And that's what this series is going to be about. I'm going to dissect almost every single Mandela effect that I am now calling paranormal effect, break it down to the origin and trying to find clues, because if there's a change, there's got to be a reason why. Okay, it's got to be a reason why. And my answer is not going to find, like I said, it's not going to be in articles. It's not. Especially when the game was invented in 30s when I wasn't even born until 1973. So, you know, there could have been a lot of weird changes that never really got to public because there weren't the news as they are now. To me, I think more personal paranormal effects for me are the ones that I grew up with, because I have a better memory of what it was from the beginning, because like certain movies that I was able to see, you know, like Star Wars. I'm not going to talk about C-3PO. That'll be another episode, but I have a lot of thoughts on that one because I was there from the beginning. I wasn't there from the beginning with the Monopoly Man. And most people who talk about the Monopoly Man were not there from the beginning. So what, you know, from 73 to 33, 43, 53, 60, that's 40 years. And of course, as a baby, probably you're not thinking about none of that. You're probably not even thinking about this until maybe you're 14 or 15. So you add another 15 years. No, you're talking 55 years from when this game was even created. So that's 55 years that you were never even born with those memories at all. So this one can easily be explained as a false memory. But I do remember him wearing the monocle. But I think for me, it's probably not a paranormal effect for me. Because like I said, I think watching the Batman show all the time, seeing the Penguin, that's where I'm crisscrossing the glasses. I could be wrong. Hey, I could be flat out wrong. And this could be a major paranormal effect. And I just, I'm not seeing it the right way. But you have to be honest with yourself when you do these kind of research. You can't make up stuff just to make up stuff. I love doing shows and having conversations on my Gypsy Road channel on YouTube. It's fun. It's great. We have a great time. And we don't go on my show to tell you that you have to believe in this. Is this enough residue evidence for you guys? Is this enough residue evidence, guys? If you're just enough residue, then you're a moron. And there's people out there that does that calls you morons if you don't believe, because they think their residue is like the holy grail of all holy grails. And it's not. It is not. It's a belief system. It's a belief system, because if there is a change, it's probably a change to tell you, research me. There's something else you're supposed to find. Okay? Now, I hope that a lot of you guys after the show, now let's start researching Don Fox. Why was he not known from a granddaughter in 2013, the creator of this mascot? Why was he hidden away? Did they not want to pay him? Did they remove it? And there was a picture of the original Monopoly guy that came out there? That's a strong possibility. That's where you need to start doing our research, So maybe later on, I will keep this one and do a part 2 on Monopoly Man and bring a guest on and start trying to research this Dan Fox and go further into it, trying to find that answer. So, guys, this is basically what the Paranormal Effects show is going to be. That we're going to dive into the origin, find out the origin, who invented it, on why, and trying to find out where is there a change. Okay? And this is where I ask you guys to have an open mind, have some common sense, and never, ever believe anybody on whatever they believe saying is true or not until you do your own research yourself to determine if it's good enough for you to say, I think I'm stuck on this one. This is a paranormal effect for me. Okay. Please do that. Please. And if any show you ever watch calls you guys morons, if their residue is not, it's not proof enough for you, and they call you names, shut them off. You don't need people like that. There's a lot of great down the earth Mandela effect shows. That's what they're called on YouTube. They haven't adapted to paranormal effect, and I hope one day we can. There's a lot of good people out there, a lot of good shows. And you, like I said, just email me and I'll email you some of these people so you can learn and have great conversations with some people with open minds, not the closed-minded ones who only says their way is the right way. So guys, I want to thank you very much. This was awesome. This was fun. If you want to support this channel, the best way to support this channel is tell everybody to listen to the podcast. You know, money's tight. You guys all need money to survive, to live, buy food. And I know I'm not going to ask you to give me some of your hard-earned money, but by listening to the podcast, listening to the backgrounds, telling your friends to listen to them all, let the commercial companies pay, support. Let them, they screw everybody out anyway, right? They screw us all over. So that's what you guys should do. That's how you support this channel. Tell everybody to listen to the podcast. Spread it. Say, hey, listen, this is the most honest, open-minded podcast and YouTube show that there is. Okay. And I always say, if you don't have an open mind, and you don't have some common sense, then I'm not the right show for you. But if you do, let's have fun together, baby. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a great ride. So guys, I had a good time. This is a great episode 1. And of course, you want to keep doing these kind of episodes, it'll get better and better and better. Beyond that, everybody, I love you all and have a good day.